the first time ever, the League of Legends Spring Finals for the LCS was held here in Arizona, and I got to go. Here's my experience. In general, it was completely awesome. In the morning Saturday, there was a Cloud9 career panel, but it was at 9 a.m. and I was not going to get up that early. I couldn't be there, or more like I just didn't feel like being there. Then doors to the stadium opened up at 11 a.m. Actually ended up running a little bit late, but it was okay. I got there just before game one. I also wanted to go to my local game store and get some Rift Down packs before I showed up so I could open them with friends. Now, before the game started, I had to say hi to a bunch of friends. Some were sitting behind me, we watched the game together. Others were sprinkled throughout the stadium. I also checked out the merch booth, of course, which honestly, I thought their selection was pretty good. There was some stuff I wish was there. For example, they were selling a Teemo hat, a Paro hat. I would have loved to buy either or both the Rammus hat and the Cho'Gath hat. I don't know if the Cho'Gath hat is real Riot merch, but I know Tenchi has one and I want one too. Now, Saturday was especially important for me because I was rooting for Cloud9. I kind of have to since I work for Cloud9. Unfortunately, the games were a stomp. Cloud9 went 0-3, which, you know, it happens. This was also my first official Riot Games League of Legends event ever. So the whole time I'm really just thinking, I'm just so happy this is happening in front of me and I get to be here. It really sunk in with the player walkouts and seeing them on stage and the casters doing their thing. It just felt very surreal. After the games, me and my group went out to dinner. We went to this place called K-Pot, which up until then, I hadn't been there yet. Now for everyone else, they went home after that. For me, the evening was just getting started. I decided to go to the Cloud9 Aram after party and the FlyQuest after party. The Aram after party was for a bunch of people to get together and play an Aram tournament. The only issue was there were a lot of people. They had 20 computers with them, so they could have 4 teams playing at once. The issue was there were enough people for like, I don't know, 15 teams, so they assumed they only had enough time for about 8 to actually compete. After setup and everything, the games actually got started around 8 p.m. 8 p.m. is also when the FlyQuest party started. So by around 9 or so, pretty much everyone who wasn't playing in the Aram tournament had left to go to the FlyQuest after party. Also, why was FlyQuest even there? I don't know. I think they were just there for fun. But I decided to stick around and watch the games, since looking at how quickly the matches were going, the games would finish early by about 10 p.m. But I'm sure they just didn't want to overestimate how much time they had. I enjoy watching League of Legends. I thought watching the teams play was really fun. At some point, unfortunately, the casting stopped working. Like, they were just having some tech issues, so everyone just had to crowd around behind the people's computers and watch them that way, which I honestly wasn't really upset about. It reminded me of, you know, like classic LAN parties back in the day. At first, I thought the whole Aram after party was going to be like DreamHack, kind of, where it's just rows and rows of computers and you show up and play. That would have been sick. I'm sure a lot more people would have actually stayed for that. But again, they only had 20 computers, which I asked where they got them. They just pulled them from the ASU gaming lounge, but I really can't fault Cloud9 for not having enough computers, because it's like, I don't know, where would you get more? The winners of the Aram after party were the League of Legends ASU team, because they decided to enter themselves. I didn't know this until they mentioned it. Each of the players won a Secret Lab chair and a Secret Lab rising desk. Just one pair of those would be like, what, $1,300 or something like that? For each player too. So, you know, good for them. After that ended though, I made my way to the FlyQuest after party, which was at this bar nearby. That actually felt like an after party. Even though I showed up like pretty late, it was still popping, honestly. They were doing trivia, raffles. I read that they were doing 1v1s in League of Legends. I wonder what that looked like. And overall, just the atmosphere really felt like a party. Some of the League of Legends casters were there too, just hanging out. I saw Captain Flowers, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him because people were always around him. I did run into Kangas though, and I specifically sought him out. I was looking for him around the crowd, and I wanted to talk to him because I had a funny anecdote editing one of his clips when I worked at Riot. And while I was going around the party, I was looking for him, and the way I find him, it was like a movie. I see him sitting at this table for two, he's across from someone, and a single spotlight shining down on him, and he's arm wrestling people. He was doing that for majority of the night, apparently. Finally though, at some point, I pulled him aside and I get to tell my story. He was really enthusiastic about it. He was so cool and so nice, and I got a picture with him. Of course, while I was there, I decided to arm wrestle him too, because why not?
One safety rule, we're not going sideways. You're pulling me here and I'm pulling you there. Okay. The human arm can bend like this all day. The human arm does not want to bend like this.
I got you. I already felt it right here.
So we're going to be sitting, all right? I'm just going to hold you. Have fun.
245. You have 245. Please come to the back.
Oh, God.
He's toying with me. No, you got this. Come on. I gave the business with the LCS. I'm not losing. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Hold on.
It's not like I was expecting to win. I just wanted to arm wrestle him. At the Air Master party, I did meet some other guys who were also ready to show up and play, because that's partly why I went there too. I was ready to play some Aram. But again, since there were too many people, we didn't get to play. All 4 of those guys were also still there at the FlyQuest after party, so I met them there again too. We hung out, we had drinks. Also, the FlyQuest after party gave 2 complimentary drinks for everyone that showed up. Free drinks too, like, damn. Now, personally, I don't drink. I don't enjoy the taste of poison, but I did get a mocktail, strawberry. So yeah, I met up with those guys there. We got pictures taken. It was so great. It was all around just a really friendly atmosphere. Met some of the ASU guys who play on their League of Legends team, and some online mutuals that we followed each other for a while but hadn't met in person yet. So really all around just a successful night, I would say. Didn't get home until 11:30-ish, and by that time, I was so sweaty. The average temperature this weekend was about 103, 105, which is pretty atypical here in Arizona, but that doesn't mean you don't sweat any less. And the AC in my car is out of Freon, so I just had to tough it out. Despite that though, wonderful time, great first day, and I would get up for an early 9 a.m. start the next day, because Sunday would start with the Riot Games career panel. This one was at 9:30 in the morning, and that I was more accepting of, so I got up a bit early, drove over once again to ASU Tempe, which, not to super dox myself, but I live about 30 minutes away from there. Not saying where I live in the valley, good luck, but my drive over to ASU Tempe is about 30-ish minutes. So I make it to the panel, and while that career panel is definitely more so for the students, you know, people just breaking into the industry, I still got some good information, honestly. And afterwards, hung around to talk to some of the devs, and of course, they were really friendly, and yeah, just got to share some personal anecdotes from my time in the service. And it was still fun just being able to talk about League from a developer point of view, which for me, I don't get to do a lot. And it made some new connections too, which that's always fun. Now that panel went on until 11, which is perfect because that's when the doors to the stadium open. So once that ended, made my way over there. At this point, I was struggling. I was ready to go back to sleep, but the games are just going to get started, or at least not yet. They wouldn't start until 1 p.m., which would mean that I would have time to go to the 3rd floor of the stadium and meet up with some of the Cloud9 team. Now, obviously, Cloud9 is based in LA, and I work remote here in Arizona. I was messaging my manager asking any chance of seeing you this weekend and so on, and they wouldn't be here, but of course, a lot of the C9 production team would be. Finally, Sunday, before the first game starts, I have some time to go up there, meet them for the first time, hang out for a bit, and they gave me a bunch of free merch. They gave me a jersey, some fun knickknacks like this lanyard and this Cloud9 keycap, and they also invited me to the team dinner later that evening, which I'll talk about in a bit. Fast forward to 1 p.m., the games get started, and this time I was rooting for Team Liquid because even though they beat our guys, I still had to root for TL because they're a legacy team. I literally remember watching Team Liquid Brood War matches back in the day for StarCraft, so I gotta root for TL. Also, Lion is too good. I also did the Kia trivia challenge they had there, where you get to sit in one of their new cars and play trivia on these iPads that they had set up in there. Each of us got these really cute Poro keychains afterward just for doing it. Right now though, I am still waiting for my in-game rewards to show up. At least that's what they said we would get. Just before the game start, they had the ASU marching bands show up. They did a cover of Rise, which honestly I think could have sounded better.
He's celebrating with a trophy. Congratulations, Candy's on springtime. Wipe your fingerprints off that thing, buddy. Yeah, we need lowering the ego of that trophy right now.
But I don't want to fault them too much because I'm sure they were rehearsing that like for a day or so, if that, before the event started. They would play sort of the LCS theme for the player walkouts, which was pretty cool. Fast forward to 1 p.m., the games get started. Games 1 and 2 were honestly a pretty intense game of war, especially game 2. My goodness. Game 2 definitely had the most hype moments all weekends. The Jarvan Baron steal, the Dragon steals, my goodness. Being in the stadium for moments like that really felt special. And honestly, reignited some of my passion for League of Legends, at least watching it. Playing it is a different story. During game 2, I was struggling. I actually had to just sit and rest like this and take a power nap like during the game because I really couldn't handle it. I had my eyes closed for maybe like 5-ish minutes, and that was enough to get me going. That, and I got a hot dog and a Diet Coke at the stands because I needed some fuel also. Which the hot dog at the Mullet Arena, pretty good. Their pizza, way overpriced though. Yeah, games 1 and 2, great tug of war. Game 3, much more of a stomp from FlyQuest, unfortunately. FlyQuest is just too good. I can't even lie. Their jungler, what was it, Inspired? He's freaking scary. And Dokla, man, I remember editing his clips when I was working for CLG, back when Dokla was on CLG, of course. Yeah, I just dig his personality. I like him personally. I think he's cool. Seeing them raise the LCS trophy was a great thing to witness. Now, since this was unfortunately another 3-0 series, that meant that the event ended fairly early, around 3:30 or so. So my friends and I once again went out for dinner, but I couldn't eat with them because I would be going to the Cloud9 dinner in a few hours. After killing time with them, I would head over to, guess where the C9 guys chose dinner? K-Pot. Wonderful. So for the second time, I would be there, except this time, the dinner was free. It's also here that I would meet more of the C9 team. Not all of them were at the stadium. And I forgot to mention, at the Aram after party, I would meet one of my coworkers there. And we actually met before when they were working at 100 Thieves. And they also happened to be an Arizona native. So it was really cool getting to link up with them finally. And now here at the dinner, I would get to sit with the C9 guys and actually talk to them and hang out. And they did the whole thing where they chose someone in the group to lie about it being their birthday, so the kitchen staff came out and sang happy birthday to them. Throughout the dinner, some of the C9 staff would bring shot glasses to everyone and would just pass out soju, which again, I don't really drink, but on occasion, I absolutely will. So I had to share a shot or two with the guys. After dinner, we went to this boba place, which was just next door. We could walk over, and that was paid for as well. All of this paid for on the Cloud9 company card. Woo! Yeah, after boba, we called it a night, parted ways from there, and that was my LCS weekends. I wouldn't get home until like, I don't know, 10 or 11 again. But yeah, all in all, this was a really fun weekend. I really hope that LCS comes back to Arizona at some point and to meet up with friends again, you know, because we're all in the same fandom, and being able to express it to this level in a stadium full of other people who also love the same game really felt special. So hope the LCS comes back, and I hope I'm still working in esports and gaming whenever that happens. All that said, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.